So it's got our planting mix, a seedling mix. So all I'm going to do is put a couple of shallow holes in this mix. And each one's going to get a seed. Now these seeds are Joe's tomatoes. Now the story behind these is I got the tomato plant actually from one of my customers, friend of mine now, name of Randy. And Randy one day brought me in some really, really tasty Roma tomatoes that he had grown. And, so I really liked him a lot. And the next day that I saw him, he brought me in a tomato plant that he had started so that I could go ahead and grow them. And I gotta tell you, these were some of the tastiest tomatoes I've ever had. And I asked him where he got the plant. And he told me that he had gotten it from his neighbor. And proceeded to tell me a story about Joe's tomatoes and kind of the history that was behind them. So what is Joe, in the early to mid 1900s, Joe came to the U.S. from Italy, and he grew up on a farm there. And when he came to America, he brought with him seeds from his favorite fruit, a tomato that they had grown on his family farm for generations. And as a housewarming gift to my friend, when they moved in to their house, Joe brought over tomatoes, and they, to Randy, were the best tomatoes he'd ever had. And so Joe told him how he would germinate, how he would grow the fruits every year, and then pass them on to friends and neighbors so they can enjoy the fruits of his garden. And it's something that had lasted for several generations in his family. And so anyway, now Joe, he lived to be I think it was in the area of 86 or so. And when he passed away, Joe's wife continued to live there in the house. And every year, Randy would continue the tradition that Joe started with him. And he would bring Joe's wife tomatoes every single year until she passed at the young age of 97. And so what I'm going to hopefully do here is I saved some seeds from the tomatoes that I grew last year, from the plant that Randy had given me. And I'm hoping to do the same thing and keep this plant going, this genus of tomato growing and going by doing the same that Randy did for me and that Joe had done for him. And that is grow a number of plants. Hopefully get these things to start. This is the first time I've ever grown tomatoes from seed. And so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. Did I put one in there? Yes. But if these things all start, or if I can get some of them to start, then I too can pass it along. And I got to tell you, this is some of the greatest tomatoes I've ever had, and I love tomato. And I'll sit there and eat them like an orange. Really, really like them. But anyway, so we planted them just about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch deep, and then I'm just going to give a little bit of water just to get the soil saturated. Now this water is water that we use, bottled water from around the house. We go to the place by our local store and fill it up, and this is reverse osmosis water, so it shouldn't have a lot of any contaminants in it at all. And hopefully I didn't just dislodge the seed right there. That was pretty lame. I should probably be using something different than this to water. What I want to do is keep these in a warm, dark place for the next few days. And then when they start to sprout, I'm going to move them outside here in my little greenhouse. And hopefully we are going to have some decent weather here moving forward. Now these are just little, standard little pots. But these things will drain really well. And hopefully we'll get some sprouts. So that's it, guys. We'll see in, I don't know, a week or so when these things sprout. And then, when they grow big enough, then we'll transplant them. We'll divide them and transplant them. And, we'll just see how it goes. I've got a little grow light that I'm going to put in here too for, keeping some sunlight on them until we actually have late afternoon sun. So about a week has gone by since we planted these, and I'm happy to say that every single one of the seeds has sprouted into a nice little seedling. I'm really happy about it. I guess there were two stuck together for this hole over here, so we got two coming out of it. Yeah, as time goes by, we'll go ahead and take the stronger of them and transplant. I may just actually probably cut them up into and break them into two, and give them out to pay it forward. But they're doing really good. I'm really super happy. Like, first time I ever grew the tomato from seed, and they are doing really well. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start to thin my tomatoes out. I've got a number of people I'm gonna give them off. So to do this, I just use some solo cups. And a couple of my plants are a little bit, I thought might have been a little bit too far along to do it. So I did a test real quick over here, and they seem to be, not too bad to do, but I thought they might have been a little bit large. Anyhow, I'm gonna do these right here, but to prep the cup, all I do is I take a pair of scissors and I cut just the edge off. So it's got good drainage. It looks down there. And what I'll do is, well, let me go ahead and do the rest of these, and then I'll show you what I do from there. Okay, so, all right, I've done all the cups. And so what I'm going to do is just take some of my potting mix and just give it about an inch of potting mix. Pack it a little bit, give it a good foundation, and that one should be good right there. And then we're just going to take our pot. Now these are only slightly moist. We got some nice roots. And what I'm going to do, we've got nice roots all around. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this in half using the scissors, just to separate the root ball without tugging them. And then I'll just put them in their respective container, burying them deep. So because everything that's below soil will actually, all of these hairs, they'll become roots. And so I'm just going to go ahead and now, as I water these, the voids, any voids in here are going to get filled in just as the water goes through. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got a total of 12 of these to do, or 16 to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that off camera. I will show you though that I'm going to, just to ease in the transplant shock, I'm using a little Super Thrive. Now this is something, my grandma used this stuff for years. A little bit goes a long way. So it's a 1/4 teaspoon per gallon of water. I'm going to mix up a gallon of water, just dilute it with that, literally 1/4 teaspoon. And it's just some vitamins. It's going to definitely help with easing the transplant shock. That's it, guys. We'll check back in a few weeks, see how everything's going, and take care till then.